Happy to see you. We want to welcome you guys to the Breaking In Pathways to Publishing for Black Writers. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our panelists for you guys today. Denene Millner, author and publisher, is a 6-time New York Times bestselling author, Emmy Award nominated TV show host, and award-winning journalist who has written 35 books, among them Taraji P. Henson's Around the Way Girl, the picture book When Alexander Graced the Table, and her debut solo novel, One Blood, a multi-generational epic that was awarded the 2025 Townsend Prize for Fiction, the highest literary honor in Georgia. She is also the editorial director of Denene Millner Books, an award-winning imprint that publishes stories featuring Black children and families by Black authors and illustrators. The DMB list includes 2 Caldecott Honor Books, a Newbery Honor Book, a Kirkus Prize for Children's Literature, now that's no easy feat, 2 Society for Illustrator Honors, 3 NAACP nominations, a Southern Book Award, and 2 Georgia Author of the Year awards. Her children's books, Miles Morales' Spider-Man Through a Hero's Eyes, added a Disney Marvel story to the MacDowell Fellows' long list of proud achievements, and that is Mademoiselle Denene Millner. Tamika Jameson, formerly Newhouse, like Prince, is an author and publisher. She has an inspiring journey from teen mom to CEO. It's a testament to her resilience, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit. At the young age of 20, she achieved the remarkable feat of becoming a CEO, a position she reached after authoring 17 novels, many of which earned spots on bestsellers lists. Her success in the literary world is further underscored by the recognition of her talent as she proudly holds 7 African American literary awards. In a mere 9 months after the debut of her first novel in 2009, Tamika secured a major publishing contract, an impressive accomplishment made even more noteworthy by the fact that she achieved it without the assistance of an agent. I hope y'all know how hard that is to do. This marked the beginning of her rise to prominence in the publishing industry. Taking the helm as the CEO of Delphine Publications, she quickly became a central figure in the burgeoning landscape of Black fiction writers, playing a pivotal role in the increased demand for urban fiction throughout the 2010s. And that is my good sis, Tamika Jameson.
I like that bio.
And if you don't know me, my name is Kimberly Latrice Jones. I am a New York Times bestselling author. I am also a literary agent. I was with LCS Literary until they closed, and now I've since launched a new literary agency, 3 Keys. And so that is what I do. I'm also a screenwriter and a mom. So we're all moms. We're all moms.
That should have been in my bio.
So ladies, I just want to start because I'm so excited about doing this panel with you because this is the information that people normally don't get. We see a lot of panels that give a lot of information about crafts, very few that give the information about the business. And a lot of information that new writers need about the business has been gatekept in a way that they have, unfortunately, and I know me and Tamika, you and I talk about this all the time, they fall prey a lot of time to people who have predatory practices in the publishing world, telling them that they're publishers when they're really printing companies and they're offering a service and covering it as publishing, as an opportunity. Tell me, ladies, both who have publishing companies, what led you to want to launch your publishing company, and what were some of the things that you saw in the industry that made you feel compelled to take that on? Because that's a heavy take on.
I'll be quick because mine was very easy. I had a project that I wanted to get out, and I wasn't going to wait for somebody to tell me that it was good enough. Mm-hmm. So I went and did the research, and I funded my own path, essentially. And I also funded my own path to marketing, putting myself on the road and building relationships. And essentially, I just did the homework, and I did the work, and I actually got from behind the computer, and I went into various cities, and I put myself on, literally. So I didn't wait for somebody to say, come to have a seat at the table. I just made my own. So it's pretty much doing the research and find the steps in the path that will work for you.
I used to run a really popular parenting website called mybrownbaby.com, and it got a lot of attention, including with a publisher out of Chicago, a small independent publishing house called Agate Publishing. They had published a book with my now ex-husband, and the publisher of Agate, Doug Seibold, came to Atlanta to take my ex-husband to dinner, and I kind of talked my way into the dinner with the express, intention of asking him if he'd ever thought about doing a children's book imprint with his company. 'Cause he had a specific imprint called Agate Bolden, which was, he publishes a lot of black journalists. Jill Nelson had books with him, this brother out of the Miami Herald. And so I was like, well, since you have a black imprint, have you thought about doing children's books? And he was like, funny that you say that, because I was hoping you would come tonight so that I could ask you if you'd be interested in running a children's book imprint. So we collaborated in 2016. The first books came out in 2017. And by 2019, the imprint had gotten so much attention and accolades. One of the first books that I published was called Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut.
Yes, I love that book.
Which won every major award in children's literature that was to be won that year in 2017.
I was a bookseller at that time.
Yeah.
We could not keep that book in stock.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful
Yeah.
book. That was just sitting in his, on his computer, and nobody would buy it. The reason why I wanted to do a children's book imprint was because I found that in the children's book industry, mostly the books that we were seeing at the time were that featured black people were either about the civil rights movement, or they were about history, or they were about slavery, or a black first, or like a celebrity. And I just felt like I wanted to put my daughters to bed thinking about who they are outside of these grand ideas of our past and how they sort of weigh on us. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted my kids to be able to read stories about getting on the bus for the first time and being scared, or going to kindergarten, or losing a tooth and fighting with the tooth fairy. Like, just things that respected their full humanity as black children. And so that's what Denene Millner Books does. Simon & Schuster came calling in 2019, was like, we really like what you're doing. Would you like to bring your imprint over here? We have resources that you can use that you don't necessarily have at an independent publishing house. And I said, hell yeah, let's do it.
Speaking of children, I know, Tamika, you are primarily an adult writer, but you do have a YA novel, which means the world to me. If you guys don't know, my book, I'm Not Dying With You Tonight, the voice of it was inspired by her YA book, Cookie. And so I actually thank her in the acknowledgments for writing Cookie. Cookie is your only YA, which I keep telling you need to write more YA. But what led you to want to tell a story from a young girl's perspective?
Oh, so Cookie, a Fort Worth story, was inspired by my own life experiences. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to tell it in the voice of a young girl because of often black girls can be over-sexualized, mm-hmm. or we can have these experiences or this trauma, and they try to find a reason as to why we're behaving this way or why this happened, and we're not really addressing like what happened to us or what's lacking. Mm-hmm. I didn't grow up with a father, and then a lot of my upbringing was rooted in like church and not like realism, I like to say. So ultimately, if something was happening, and they would say, well, what happens in our house stays in our house, right? So we couldn't go out and talk about it. Therapy wasn't a thing. I thought that therapy was like if you were crazy. Mm-hmm. And we were supposed to just pray about it. Right. And, if you are not that gifted, you don't really hear a spiritual voice. Like, you don't hear like an actual person talking to you. So, all right, pray about it, and then what? Mm-hmm. And so as I was actively healing in my own life as an adult woman, I wanted to tell the story of some of the things I experienced in that young voice, purely because I wanted to talk to the girls in that space. I wanted to reach them. I wanted them to be able to see themselves in Cookie. I wanted them to know that they were not alone in their own experiences, and even if they were making bad choices or they were around the wrong people or if they just made a mistake and that they can't undo, it's okay. You can find a way to move forward. And I poured my heart into Cookie. And a lot of my projects are very timely, like whatever I'm going through in my life. Like, that's what I'm writing on. Like, even right now, I'm writing the novel version to Tracy's Tamika. We got to talk about that. And so I really kind of just be connected to the stories. I'm actively, the space I'm in. That's what I write. So I haven't had I guess, like the experience to actually tap into another young adult novel, simply because I feel like I did it with that, and then I wrote a sequel to Cookie. And after that, I'm like, okay, what's next? I feel like, like maybe next I write a horror, or, I don't know.
Do something.
Yeah.
Mix it up.
The beautiful thing about it is, y'all don't have to just stay in one lane. Just kind of jump around if you want to. But ultimately, people will stay connected to you. Like, if they see my name on a book cover, they see Denene's name on a book cover, they're just going to buy the book because of the name. And so I think ultimately you just write whatever you want to write, and I don't really want to stay in one genre.
Yeah. Speaking of that, from because you guys are both publishers, when it comes to a lot of writers, they are looking to write to the market, right? They want to see what's hot, what's new. They go and they peruse the bookstores. And I think people should look and see what's working in the market, but not right to the market. What's your advice to people who are pitching to publishers and pitching to agents in terms of writing to the market or writing the song of their heart? Because I think people get worried, if I write the song of my heart, nobody wants it, or it doesn't fit the market, then I've wasted my time. What's your advice on that?
I mean, for me, writing to the market, if you're writing to the market, you're a good 2 years behind. Because it's what's on the bookshelves right now was being worked on 2 years ago. And if you're signing something with me, I'm not looking at personally. Now, obviously the publishing industry likes to make money off of things they feel is a trend. I don't work that way, just because I feel like the passion that comes from your heart is what's going to land onto the page, not you trying to duplicate what somebody else did. But on top of that, if I sign something with you in this moment, right now, you won't see, it won't be on the bookshelves for at least 2 years. That's not including writing time. If you hand me a manuscript right now and it is so perfect that I don't have to do anything to it but hand it into production, it will take 2 years for it to come out. And so you could write to the market if you want to, but by the time that your book comes out, it might be a little old.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. I mean, honestly, you have to. This is where the business of publishing comes into play. So when you are creating, there's also still a business element to it, which is really most important. I always tell people the writing part, that's fun. That's art. Right. After that, everything else is strictly business, strategic, relationship building, like. Right. All that, like, that's the only thing that actually matters. Like, once the book is done, now you have to figure out how to get it into the face of the people. Yeah. And that's where your journey is going to stick and where it's going to stay. So, honestly, I don't even be knowing what's trending. Right. I don't know what they be writing, what's popular, what's coming out, because I'm writing what I want to write. Right. And honestly, I feel that, like, that's what's going to keep me going year after year after year, is because I'm writing what my readers are wanting. At the end of the day, the readers are going to find me. They're going to stick with me. They're going to be excited to see, oh, she got something new coming out, whenever that may drop. Because I honestly just write for what is within me. And I honestly feel like if you are a real artist, because writing is art, just like being able to know how to sing, if you know how to play an instrument, writing is an art form. So if you are very serious about your art, you're not going to then go into the bookstore and be like, ooh, let me write like them. Let me sound like them. That's not being an artist.
And as an editor, I can tell when you're trying to copy somebody.
Yeah.
It's not authentic.
Yeah, when it's not your voice.
Right.
You're not going to have longevity at all.
Right.
So
Yeah.
just write. Like, write what you want to write. Figure out what your voice is. And there's different types of style of writing. And if you feel that your writing isn't strong enough, what do people that know how to sing? Like, I feel like I know how to sing sometimes.
Tamika, I have told you this, not your ministry.
See, that's a prime example. Don't listen. If you believe in yourself, you believe in yourself. Because I believe I can sing. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, even the best singers got a coach. Whitney Houston had a coach. She had a vocal coach.
She did.
Yeah, because she's training her muscle, right? Her
Yes.
voice.
Now she loves to sing.
Right.
Don't do that. I know how. Hello.
No.
Is it me you're looking for? Wasn't that good?
Listen, y'all. We had a party
on-
one
that was
time.
good, right?
We had a party one time. We had a hired
Oh,
singer.
yeah.
In the video, you cannot hear the hired singer over this one.
Oh, you should have hired me. I should have been singing. I bring somebody else in for it. I'm the main attraction.
should've just
Wherever
went
I'm at, I'm the main attraction. Speaking of which, y'all, in February, we're going to have a Harlem Renaissance party, but it's a whole nother conversation. While I'm singing.
Yes, because we do this annual Harlem Renaissance party because we're like, Black History Month doesn't have to be all sad. We can have fun. So we have a dress-up costume party where y'all can dress as your favorite literary characters. And so all you hear is "Sister" from this one.
Sister,
That's the whole video. Meanwhile, the lady we hired was actually singing it.
We flew her out from Chicago and everything. I didn't care.
I'm sorry, Victor. I should have told you when you put us together, this shenanigans.
When I saw the hair, I said, uh-oh. I'm behaving.
I know they love it. Pathways of getting into right. I got an adult again. A lot of people want pathways into writing, and they think that there is like one pathway into writing. Like they're like, I'm either going to query publishing houses, I'm going to query an agent, or I'm going to come to an event like this, then I'm going to beg Tamika and Denene, please publish my book. But there are many other ways now in this market for people to bring attention to their work, for them to get people excited about them, to reach out for them. What are some of the creative ways you're seeing young writers be able to come into publishing in untraditional ways, or some of the traditional ways that are available for people who want to break into publishing?
Well, normally you don't get a deal unless you have an agent. Most editors will not look at your work unless it comes through an agent, and getting an agent is a whole nother ball of wax. That's probably harder than getting a book deal, because they won't, just represent anybody, and they take on a small clientele and all of that. So I happen to be one of the few editors who will accept manuscripts without an agent, and that was one of the things. I know I'm saying it out loud. Here I come. But that's important to me, because one of the reasons that I started Denene Millner Books, besides wanting to show the humanity of Black children, was that I wanted to create opportunities for authors and illustrators, Black authors and illustrators specifically, who were having a hard time getting through to the publishing experience without agents. And I know as a writer that you can write a beautiful book and not have an agent, and no one will ever see it, because you don't get to present it to an editor who could put it into play. And so when I went to Simon & Schuster, the two things that I asked for was that I have a very specific point of view of what I want these books to be about, and I am only going to publish African American authors and illustrators, and they were with it. So, but that's rare.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, yeah.
If y'all didn't hear her, she asked her, is that still the case? Is she still able to do that with the attack on DEI and everything that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I still Um, I am watching my back because I know that it could be just as easy as it was for me to. Now, I did get Denene Millner books before, and people try to say that Denene Millner books was a direct result of sort of what happened post George Floyd. That's not the case. I was actually at Simon and Schuster before the Black Lives Matter movement popped off. But just as easily, people could look and be like, what that black girl doing over there? She just publishing Black Folk. Is that? And so I'm just, I'm continuing to do my mission. Simon and Schuster is supporting that. I've not heard anything about them changing their mind or turning their back on that. But, I'm a Black woman in America.
Right. So stay ready.
I stay ready.
Yeah, stay ready. So Tamika, you run an independent publisher, and so you have more flexibility in that space in terms of having, being able to celebrate Black authors in that way. But that hasn't stopped you from coming under attack about that. And being a focal point for people having an issue with that. How have you navigate that? Now, I know you just scream louder. You be like, oh, y'all don't like that I got a Black publisher? Now I'm going to start a Black festival.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I love for people to, I say, piss me off, ultimately.
Yeah.
Because I can show you better than I can tell you. Like, I can sit here and talk all day, every day, and just say stuff out my mouth. And I'm not the one to sit on social media and talk with my thumbs. Like, I'll step out into the real world, and I'll show you.
Get in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the one. I'm the one in the 2, in the 3, in the 4, in the 5. Like, I'm all that. So my experience with being an independent publisher is, you have to understand, independent means that a lot of their funding and support comes from in-house. They don't have a large investor or some type of acquisition partner or some type of, a financial backer that is actually helping them to steer this engine. Independent strictly means independent. What Destiny Child and them say? The independent women. Well, I was an independent publisher, literally figuring it out on my own. And so if you go the route of having an independent publisher, understand the business, because this is really going to help you along the way. Whether you have an independent publisher or a traditional publisher, like Denene has Simon & Schuster, that is a partnership. So they manage distribution and finance and marketing and a number of different things. And Denene will make sure she bring in the talent, and she makes sure them stories is together, and she will probably coach and mentor and have more of a one-on-one with these artists as well, but she also has that extra support. My journey, I was all them people. I was a financier, I was a support, I was a mentor, I was head of operations, and I was on tour with my authors and things like that. The thing that does not shift either way, when your book comes out, a lot of success is still going to be on your shoulders. You have to get out and market your book. And what market looks like is host you a book signing, reach out to book clubs, come to events like tonight, post on social media. If you get an advance of, let's say, $2,000, and I'm just throwing out a number, y'all, maybe more than that, take 200 or 300 of that and do you some social media ads. Be of help for yourself. Like, it's almost like, don't show up to somebody's house and empty-handed and say, oh, I'm hungry, feed me. I don't like people like that. Like, you ain't about to come to my house just eat up all my food now and then put your feet up on my couch. Like, what we doing? So if you get somebody that's willing to lay out the table for you, bring some wine. Bring, like a little side dish. Yeah, something.
Yeah.
Like, be of help to the journey. Because at the end of the day, I promise you now, and I see this often, when the book is successful, when the book is winning, everybody ain't mama, and people that ain't had nothing to do with the book is talking about, oh, yeah, I was a part of that.
And money from the publishing house gets thrown at that.
Yeah.
Right? The more money that you make for the publishing house, the more they'll spend on
The
it.
more they would spend money.
But for someone who doesn't have a popular book or their book is a little bit more quiet, you really do, whether you're in independent publishing or traditional publishing, you have to be ready.
You got to be ready.
To market and promote yourself.
Mm,
I have a
put yourself
book
out there.
that came out last week called My Heart Speaks Creole. It's written by this sister who's from, her family's from Cape Verde, and they speak this language that is no longer spoken in Cabo Verde. It's actually Cabo Verde now, called Criollo, and her parents were the last ones on the island to speak it.
Wow.
Her grandparents were the last ones on the island to speak it. And so she wrote a book about Saturdays going on a walk in New England with her grandfather who's sight impaired, and he's trying to get her to understand the language by taking her to all these different places where his heritage is celebrated. And Sis set up 4 book signings on her own. She had, we helped her get book stores to support that. So they came and they sold books for her. My daughter is a graphic designer, so I had her make some flashcards and some bookmarks and stickers based off the characters that the sister was able then to give out to all the kids. I personally, this is not Simon & Schuster, I personally do letters to bookstores. Hey, have you heard about this series called Stella? It's a little black girl who does all kinds of zany things. If you have children and you are familiar with Eloise or Olivia, it's like the Black Olivia Eloise series. And personally writing letters, having my kid design the letter, and then doing mailings to black bookstores so that they know that we exist. Yeah. Because if you don't, nobody knows. And so, and this is with a top 5, one of the largest publishers in the world. I'm still pitch hitting, on the side with these authors who are absolutely, doing things for self.
Well, let me know if you want some more authors. 'Cause I like that type of teamwork.
Tamika,
Be in the game.
I know. Well, you were also traditionally published. You had a publishing deal with Kensington. And when you were on that journey, did you, as an author, did you do a lot of your own, because it was in you to do it anyway, but did you do a lot of your creating spaces for yourself?
Yep, that's exactly how I got a book deal without an agent. It was so surreal. I was 22 at the time. Well, I'm telling my age. But I was everywhere. I was super aggressive. Like, I was at every bookstore. I put myself on a plane every month. Like Denene mentioned, I'm printing out like sell sheets, and I'm sending them to bookstores. I'm letting them know that this book is out, and I ended up getting nominated for an award. And here I'm at this award show, and the editor of Kensington comes to me and say, "Hey, I heard about this book. Can you send me a copy?" Now, I'm independent and I'm a hustler. So my initial thought was, it's $15. I don't give no books out for free. But I was like, you know what, she an editor, so she important. So I went and gave her one. Real talk. I had this conversation in my head. I gave her one. And I forgot that I gave her this book, because after I'm hustling. Like, I just want people to know this book is out. Like, I'm advocating for me. Like, I'm excited for me. And I know if nobody's going to do it, I'm going to do it. And 3 months later, she hit me back and said, I want to acquire this. I want to, have the rights to this book, and I'm going to put it out everywhere. And I said, oh, okay, that's what's up. And it was out everywhere. Like, literally, I had a fan base in Europe and in all them other countries, and places that I hadn't even explored yet. Or imagined. Yeah. But honestly, it came from just doing the work. So just to double back on that, if your book is successful, everyone will kind of really want to say, I was a part of that journey, or congratulations, et cetera, et cetera. But I personally, on being an independent publisher, when I had authors that did not promote their books, when their books were not successful, they just pointed the finger at me.
Girl, say it again.
Okay. Let me say it louder. When their book was not successful, they pointed their fingers at me. And social media be making people feel like they big and bold. Like, I don't do that talking with the thumb stuff. I don't like that. I'm still from Texas. I'm from Fort Worth. At the end of the day, Funky Town, if y'all know about Funky Town, I will get down with the get down. So if you want to come at me some type of way, please don't do that online. Please do that in my face. I promise you. It will be so much of a better experience for both of us, because I will match it for you. Like, I will give you the energy that you want. And it's okay. Like, you doing it online, you want an audience, I'll give you one. Let's do it. But honestly, like, I don't like that. Like, if the book is not successful, let's talk about why. What did you do that was not conducive to the success? What did your publisher do and not do, et cetera? Let's talk about it, and let's figure out a way to move forward. Yeah, let's put a plan, other than like going online and talking about it and complaining, because I promise you, if the book was successful and you ain't even do no book signing, and you be up there taking credit. Well, take credit when it don't go right.
No, I can honestly say my first book, it was out for a year, and it was mediocre was the success. I was in the black, but I was in the black because the advance that I took on that first book was super small. So it was easy to get in the black on it. But it honestly was not doing what the publisher had anticipated that it was going to do. And me and my partner, because I co-wrote my first book, me and my partner, we put our heads together and started figuring out, like, okay, what additional things can we do? What spaces are we welcome in that they may not be thinking of? Like, I'm a black woman. My co-author is Jewish. I was like, we should do a synagogue tour because you're a Jewish author. Like, let's go to 10 synagogues this week and see if we can do book club with their kids. And we did that. I had to connect over a Sister Circle. I was like, I got to connect to Sister Circle. Like, the publisher's not going to think to put us on Sister Circle. When it was out at the time, I'm like, let's go. I'm going to call Rashawn Ali. Let's get on Sister Circle and promote the book that way. After a year of us also promoting the book ourselves, doing what we needed to do ourselves, we got nominated for an NAACP Image Award for the book. Well, that changed everything. That changed everything when we got that nomination, because now we were on like a national platform. And then I went viral. So we went to the Image Awards in March. We came home, the whole world shut down. And then I went outside and cussed out America. And then all of a sudden, there was all this additional press, and we made the New York Times bestseller list. When we made the New York Times bestseller list, the book had been out for 14 months. Yeah, so, you know, if it's your product, push it always. The last book, I have a book coming 2026. The last book that I put out was 2022. I promise you, if you go on my TikTok right now, you think that book dropped yesterday. That book is 3 years old, and I'm still like, have you gotten your copy? Huh? Don't be left out.
Right.
Nah, what you gonna talk about at Thanksgiving?
And keep in mind, with the publishing industry, with the publishing house, your book is not the only book that was published, right? Like, so I had one come out last week, and I had another one that came out on Tuesday. And that's not me saying I no longer care about My Heart Speaks Criollo. It means that the marketing and the publicity departments are now focused on books that are coming.
Yeah.
And so they did what they could with the last book, and your time came. You have about a month after that for, you know, like that kind of support to come from the publishing house. And then they're like, okay, we really love you, and we're really happy that your book came out. So we got to go over here and tend to this baby, and then that baby, and that baby, and that baby, and that baby, and that baby. It's not, so they, you know, like, you will get left. You the baby bird that, you know, your egg hatched, and now they're like, go ahead and fly. We gonna go over here and make some more, you know, warm up some more eggs.
And I can say, as an agent, like, I want you, first of all, I'm gonna just be transparent. I want you to win because I only get paid if you get paid. So I want you to sell a book, and I feel that pressure for your success, even though it may be unwarranted for me to feel that pressure. I feel that pressure to make you be successful, to get you a sale, to get you over the hump, to talk then to the publishers to try to advocate for you and do things like that. But I got a list of clients that I got that same obligation to, you know, and so I have to manage all my babies, and I have to pursue, you know, success and opportunities for all my babies. And that's the other thing I would say. I mean, now y'all got it like so much better than we had it when we all started in this. But y'all got, even though it's the devil, y'all got Chat GPT. and and you got Google, and you got all these things also, so you can have realistic expectations about what it is that we do. Like, what is it that your agent is supposed to do? What is it that your publisher is supposed to do? Because I realize sometimes I've had clients that conflate agent with talent manager. And I'm like, I'm not your talent manager. It's not my job to like book events, and I'm not getting you brand deals. I have one sole responsibility, which is to be the liaison between you and a deal. And once you get that deal, navigate all those waters for you, talk to the publisher. If you are upset about your marketing plan, then it's me to go to talk to them, because that's the other thing. Don't fly off the handle and go talking to the publisher crazy, because this publisher fights you. And then this one, you know, so
I remember. I don't fight, but I do remember.
yeah, and she remembers. I tell my clients all the time, let me be the ugly and the heavy. We want you to continue to be the pretty girl at the party, to be the tall gentleman they want to dance with, to remember you lovingly. If they say, I hate Kim Jones, that's fine. We don't want them to say, I hate you. We want them to be rooting. I want them to root for you so bad that they be like, I wish she get somebody else, because I don't like Kim Jones.
That's it.
You know,
What she says.
right. Yeah, right, exactly. So like, that's the other thing, is having realistic expectations about what you get from an agent and what you get from a publisher, because I feel like a lot of times it's like, also too, and I'll say this last and then I'll give these ladies closing thoughts and we'll open up the floor for you guys to ask questions. You got the same Google I got. When you get an opportunity to meet with an agent, to connect with the publisher, to come to spaces like this, if this is what you really want, if this is what you really want to do, you should have already researched it within an inch of your life. So by the time you get an opportunity to speak with one of us, what you are actually asking us for are trade secrets that you can't get online. But you should not be asking tier 1 questions, because if this is what you really want to do, tier 1 is available online, and you should already have that information consumed. So that, you know, I also work in the TV and film industry, and I tell actresses all the time, if you meet as a director, if you meet me and your question is, how do I get an audition? When it's tier 1, that you should have a headshot and resume, that you should be pursuing an agent, or that if you don't have an agent, you should at least have your headshot and resume up on Actors Access, which is baseline. Every actor knows that you should have a profile on Actors Access, and that gives you access when you don't have an agent. If I have to tell you that, then the 45 seconds I had to talk to you, I told you that. I told you something you could have Googled for yourself. If you come to me and you say, hey, Miss Kim, I'm an actress, I've been in 4 short films, I have my headshot and resume on my phone if I could shoot it to you. Also, I have my Actors Access link if you want that. Now I can tell you, oh, you have an Actors Access link? Dope. You should be going to these classes, because I know some casting directors that are casting out of these classes. You're able to get the next tier of information, because what's available at your fingertips, you've already researched and learned. And it's the same thing with publishing. Like the tier 1 stuff, you should know. I shouldn't spend 30 minutes with you telling you how to do a query letter. You can find that online. So I'm gonna give you ladies last thoughts, and then we'll open up the floor for questions.
Okay, so my last thought is, everybody's journey is different. Like, and you have to really kind of decide like what's going to work best for you. Do you want to work with the publisher, or do you want to go the independent route? Once you really determine the path, that's funny, it's called pathway, the path that you want to take, then you want to start putting together steps to make those things work for you. Also, think about what type of stories that you want to tell. And then thirdly, who is your readers? And I used to do this exercise where I would create a person. Like, I would give them a name, where they work, where they live, what their hobbies like, and this person was my customer. Because I need to have an idea, who am I talking to, who am I selling to, who is my reader base? because everybody not gonna like your book. If you come and say like my story for anybody, everybody can read my book. Well, you already don't know what you're doing, because everybody's not gonna like your book. Everybody's not gonna think that it's good. Like and that's okay. You really want to have an idea like who is gonna be your niche market. So those are some really key things that you really should be thinking about ultimately when it comes to your journey. And then I would say like the last thing is find a brand crush. Who is an author that maybe writes the books like you write, or does like, yeah, thank you. Yeah. Writes the books that you write. They go to type of events. You like how their art, their career looks. And I want you to dissect it. Why do you think that is? Where are they going? How are they dressing? What do their covers look like? How do they sound in their interviews? Like all the things aligned with who they ultimately are as an artist. And you can also then apply that to yourself. So find a brand crush, understand who your audience is, figure out what that pathway is going to be as well, and what type of stories you do want to tell.
Those are all great tips, cosign. Understand that publishing is hard.
Yes.
Hard work. And for all of the successes that you see, they're holding up the books and the career and the money to make 200 more books that will not make money and that will be on the bookstore shelves for a couple of months and then find themselves in the bargain bin. Mm-hmm. And that's real. That's real talk. Children's books have longer legs just because there will always be children and there will always be parents who want their children to read. So if your book is not successful straight out the gate, at Simon & Schuster, we don't kick it to the curb. We like to think that our books have long legs. And so just because it's not a success today doesn't mean that you won't sell an abundance of books as the years go by. But understand that it is hard work. You know, you getting to me is the easy part. Getting your book published is the easy part. Selling your book and maybe seeing it not do what you expect it to do and then doing it again anyway, that's the hard part. Mm-hmm. But as an editor, if I believe in your book enough to publish it and to put my hard work behind it, because I work from the sun up to can't see, I really believe in your work, and I'm doing everything that I can because my reputation is on the line. It says Denene Millner Books on there right next to your name, and right next to the illustrator's name if it's a children's picture book. And so I'm doing everything that I can to make it work. And sometimes it doesn't, but that doesn't mean that I don't want it to. Mm-hmm. So just understand that it's hard work and it's filled with a lot of disappointments. And I'm not saying that to push you off of the journey. I'm just saying that be ready. It's hard.
I have real expectations.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, where y'all questions at?
There's a microphone right here for anyone who.
Okay. Also, so thank you. This has been great and boosted my spirits today because the daylight savings is just not working with me. But I like how you started with like writing the song of your heart because I am a journalist, a historian of Black women athletes.
I've met you
Yes.
before? Okay,
Yes.
I'm like, I know your face.
And my research and my writing is about Black women's basketball in Atlanta during the Jim Crow era. And this is something that's like I'm so passionate about, and I'm like nonfiction I'm so interested in. But I'm curious, like a lot of the stuff that we talked about today is like how much does that apply to nonfiction, and then thinking about the tough path of publishing, like how much tougher is it? And I think this is also a little bit of like things I've heard from people. They're like, nobody wants to read nonfiction, but I mean, I do.
Nobody wants to read nonfiction.
I'm like,
No.
Who said
Nobody
that?
wants to read fiction. Everybody wants to read
Everybody.
nonfiction.
Nonfiction is
Really?
a hot ticket.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. I think the challenge is that it's micro. So you're talking about Atlanta, and so I know at Simon & Schuster when it's so micro, they have a hard time seeing it on a national level. Like, will somebody in New York care about basketball players in Atlanta during Jim Crow? They may, because it has like a civil rights angle to it. But that's the one thing that you have to be aware of, that it may be hard to get that past folks who are looking for something on a grander scheme of things.
Yeah, the other thing that I would tell you is, again, like, what are your expectations for the book? Is this the song of your heart and you want the world to have it? Or is this the song of your heart and you want to sit on the couch of the Today Show? Because those are two different expectations. If this is the song of your heart and you want the world to have it, then you can look at University Press.
Absolutely. That was the next
Yeah,
thing that was going to come out.
yeah. You think about University Press. UGA has an amazing University Press that is looking for micro Georgia, those kinds of stories. Emory does as well. So for them, this is an ideal. Now, is this going to get you to Reese Witherspoon's book club? Probably not. But will your book get published? Will it get seen by the world? Will you be able to get it into the library system? That kind of thing. Yes, you will. So it's all about, like, what are your expectations? And I say this all the time. People always like, Kim, are you rooting for Black excellence? And I say, no. I'm rooting for Black mediocrity. Because I think that this concept of Black excellence has robbed us of Black liberation. That we have to be the talented 10th. You know, I'm more of a Booker T girl. That we have to be amongst the talented 10th in order for it to be deemed successful. There are some mediocre white men that are living great lives and there's nothing special about them. Why we can't be mid and be great? And not even be great. Why can't we be mid and happy? And so if your expectation is this story is important and I want to give it to the world, then maybe a University Press route or a smaller press or an independent press may be the route for this one. And then you may have a high fantasy YA that's perfect for Penguin, and you could publish both on your journey, you know?
Yeah. Also, keep in mind that we think of book sales in terms of bookstores, and there are so many, like our chief sales come from libraries and schools. Yes. And so if you're doing a nonfiction book about a point in history, you know, just because, you know, whatever New York bookstore is not, you know, giving it any love, doesn't mean that every library system in Georgia isn't going to buy that book and make it a success. And so, you know, like, keep in mind who the people who actually buy the books are. I was, you know, genuinely surprised to think in that, think about that logic when I got to Simon & Schuster, because that's not the way that it worked at the independent bookseller, at the independent publisher that I was at, just because they didn't have access to the library systems and school systems in the way that a traditional publisher does. And so University Press does have that kind of connection. And so just because it's not being sold in a bookstore doesn't mean it's not being bought.
Exactly. And I have a book that's coming out 2026 that's like Hidden Figures but tech. And I'm already setting my sights on, I want to go to Afrotech. I want to go to all of these spaces that are not traditional, like, book spaces, but that are in the tech space, because that's going to be a great place for me to sell my wares. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, this is very helpful. Thank you so much.
And just to piggyback on that, being an independent writer, when I put out my very first book, I didn't just go to bookstores. Most of the events I went to were music festivals and women expos. So I would go to, like, Jazz in the Gardens in Miami, where there were like 30,000 people, and I was the only book vendor, and I was selling thousands of books in the weekend. I would go to the Urban Music Fest in Austin. I would go to the Macy Music Fest in Cincinnati. I would go to the Sisterhood Expo in Memphis. I would go to the Black Women's Expo in Chicago. I went where the people was at, and I mean thousands of people at one time. And often I would be like one of maybe two of the only book vendor there, because nobody was thinking about going to these spaces with their books. Now when I go, everybody mama there. I'm like, dang, who told y'all to come up over here? I'm like, dang, I shouldn't have posted that picture. But I gave my secret away. But ultimately, that's how like I really built my following, is I went to where the people were at. So whether you are independent or traditionally published, go where the people are at. If you are unknown, they don't know to come and look you up. They don't know to come to your book signing. So pop up where they at. Like go to these music festivals, go to tech events. Tech is huge right now because tech is everything. You know, that's the new wave right now. Go to these events. Just go to where the people are at. Food events too. I used to do real good at food festivals. Yeah. So just go where the people is at, and you'll see. And you're not a salesman either. So when you're going to these events, you're not just going just to sell a book. Like I'm not printing out 100 books so I can get my 100, my money back. I'm getting emails. I'm taking pictures. I'm talking to people. I'm asking them, hey, where are you from? Like, you in the book club? And I'm leaving these events with dozens of events to do after the fact. So you're not just going to just to sell and get your money back. Don't treat them like that. Yeah, don't treat them like,
snake oil.
Yeah, you're not a salesman. You're an artist. So always remember that.
Hey, ladies. 2 questions.
Hey, Victor.
Hello. 2 questions. So the first question I had in my mind, and then something that Denene said made me get a second question. First question is, because of the time frame, as you said, it can be very short. I'm just thinking about writers who in their minds, they may have had that one story. This is it. This is going to be the one. And they go through the process, and they start that whole thing, and then the book comes out and nothing happens, right? And they don't do the work, right? But they had that one story. So I'm just thinking about how any advice to those individuals as they focus on that one story, what should that actually look like, as a writer? And then the second question is related to libraries, because you mentioned libraries, and I don't know if everybody knows, one of the largest sellers of books to public libraries, Baker and Taylor, is going out of business officially on the 31st of December. So a lot of public libraries are scrambling now to find another source for their books that they get in. So there could be a huge gap, and it never really occurred to me of how much of an effect that could have on writers and publishing and all of those things, because I'm thinking of it as on a library end and how it affects us. Luckily for us here at Auburn, we don't buy books from Baker and Taylor, so we're not that affected by that. But the system as a whole is affected. And when I say largest, there's probably not a single library system that you can name off the top of your head that is not purchasing books from Baker and Taylor. So. Yeah. All the big ones, New York Public, Chicago Public, LA County, LA City, all of them, Seattle, you name it, we're buying their books from Baker and Taylor, and now Baker and Taylor no longer exists. Right. So I'm just wondering, how are you all reacting to this? But then, the other question as well as to writing.
Okay, so speaking from putting on my writer's hat now to answer your first question, if you're not familiar, my first books I wrote with my now ex-husband, Nick Childs. And we wrote nonfiction, a series called What Brothers Think, What Sisters Know. And then we decided we got tired of telling all of our business in nonfiction books and that we wanted to write fiction. And we couldn't get our agent at the time, went to maybe 2 or 3 editors and, hit a couple of brick walls and then just decided, well, I can't sell these. And so unless you're trying to write another nonfiction, I guess your writing career is over. I'm sorry, huh? 35 books later. What? And so just because your book doesn't hit, or just because an editor or an agent says no, does not mean that's the end of your writing career. We also had someone tell us when we were writing our novels, and we ultimately got another agent who went hard and got us some great deals with fiction, 3 really successful fiction books. And then I started writing books with other folks and then writing some on my own. We had another, remember when street fiction was like the thing that everybody was buying, and someone got onto a radio show and said that my ex-husband wrote this piece in the New York Times called "Their Eyes Were Reading Smut," and it was about how difficult it was to get Barnes & Noble and Walden Books at the time and all of these bookstores to actually understand that just because street fiction was having its moment didn't mean that the rest of us shouldn't be writing the kinds of books that we were writing. And someone got onto the radio and said that people like my ex-husband and I should just stop writing because what's the wave right now is street fiction. And if you're not willing to get on that bandwagon, then maybe, you should just stop writing. And that hurt me so bad because I'm like, so basically what you're saying is I don't have a right to do what I love to do because just in this moment, what's getting shine isn't what I choose to do? That's crazy talk. And if you want to see me fly, tell me I can't fly. And so, if if that one book doesn't do well, it just, no matter if you put your back into it or you just very quietly let it float on out into the world, that doesn't mean that's the end of your career. I can promise you that because here I am all these years later with 35 books, with New York Times bestsellers, and my own imprint. So if I would have listened to those voices, I never would have gotten to this moment right here. In terms of Baker and Taylor going out of business, it is hurting us because, like I said, a big part of our book buying audience is libraries and schools. We have entire departments that are dedicated to holding those accounts. And when Baker and Taylor went out of business, folks are going to find ways to buy books, right? And there are other distributors out there that are, like, oh, they went out of business, we got you. So it's a shock right now, and there's some shaking happening right now, but we're confident that there are other distributors that will pick up the slack, or that's what we're banking on.
Maybe
Yeah.
Ingram.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
I saw Amazon at the last.
Oh, dear God.
And I was shocked. I was shocked that they had like a center, like the hugest display in the whole entire conference hall, and it was just like, why are they here?
Yeah,
It's like they knew
yeah,
before
Of course
everybody else
they
yeah.
knew
Right.
what
Yeah.
was coming.
Well, if they do anything, they know how to get some business going, right? They know how to they know how to dominate. Yeah.
Yes, they do know that. I'm hoping Ingram steps up to the plate. And then I'll answer your second question first. From a bookseller's point of view, because, I was a GM at a bookstore for a long time, and then Tamika and I owned a bookstore together. We always got deeper discounts ordering directly from the publishers anyway, as opposed to ordering from distributors. The issue is speed. So what's going to have to happen is the publishers are going to have to step up their speed, and they can get that business because they give you a deeper discount. The only reason any of us, libraries, booksellers, order from the distributors anyway is because if I have a special order from everybody in this room, and then I have Tamika Newhouse coming on Friday, I can make one order with, I could make one order with Baker and Taylor and have all those books. I can make that order on Monday and have all those books in my shop on Wednesday, and be ready for my event on Friday, and be calling my customers saying, "Hey, your book is in." If I order them from directly from Simon & Schuster, well, your special orders from Simon & Schuster, yours is from Penguin Random House, yours is from Hachette, yours is from Macmillan. I have to place an order from all of y'all. Then I have to meet all of y'all's minimums in order to place that order, and I ain't getting those books till next week.
Unless you pay a
Unless I pay a steep fee to get faster delivery. So it was the convenience. It wasn't the price. It was the convenience that made us work with companies like Baker and Taylor and Ingram and stuff like that. It was more that it was convenient. And there were times like when Tamika and I had our bookstore, I'm ashamed to say this, but there were times when I just ordered from Amazon, like the actual Amazon website, because it was a deeper discount on the books. Yes, because it was deeper discounts on there than what we got from our reps. And so that's one of the things that, if anything, now, if I was in New York, what I would tell all of the publishers are, if y'all are smart, y'all need to form some type of little thing with each other. And then be able and have a general, and come up with a name and have a general warehouse that represents all of y'all, that keeps your, at least your top list shelved in that warehouse that can be ordered from. But I'm hoping that Ingram steps up. If not, Amazon gonna come in and Amazon.
Hi, ladies. Such a joy to be here with you all today. So I'm actually a psychiatrist, and in my work, I've realized, a lot of the one-on-one, I'm saying a lot of the same stuff over and over and over. And most of that because, patient privacy, I can't, share certain things. But in wanting to move messages to a broader scale, I don't have formal training in writing, but I used to journal and did classes, here and there. Any advice on, I think I want to more so do fiction, because I think there are certain truths that people could hear better, in a fiction realm. So any advice for me, who I'm not necessarily coming from a formal writing background, but I really am interested in pursuing this and doing something on a larger scale? Any advice?
Do you want to write it yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was going to say there are people out there who can take your idea and write it for you.
Like the ghostwriters?
Yeah, like a ghostwriter, if you want to pursue that route. But if you are trying to take writing courses, read. Game recognizes game. You can look at the way that people, their styles. I was just telling someone earlier, the gentleman that you introduced me to today, I was like, I can't read to read. I like, my editor hat is always on, and I can never take it off. It's just like, oh, I like the way they did that phrase, or I would have maybe saved that for this chapter. I can't. But you need to be reading with that in mind, right? Like, not just for pleasure, but to learn. And then find books that are like the one that you want to write, and see how that storytelling is being done. And then write. There is just not a day that goes by that I'm not writing something. I have a friend who told me once, I love her so much, her name is Karen Good. She is one of my favorite writers of all time. Every time I have a microphone in my hand and I'm talking about writing, I say her name, because she really is a brilliant writer. And she once said to me, in the morning, what I need to do is take a journal and just for 4 pages, at least 4 pages, write, handwrite, not type, not on your phone, pen to paper, and just sit and write for at least 4 pages. And by the time you get to the 4th page, the truth comes out. And damn if she wasn't right.
Mm-hmm. I've done that.
Because I would sit and I would write, and then all of a sudden I'd be like, ooh, And by the time I got to that, and I learned some things about myself. Some things that I wrote, when I went back to look at them, might end up in a book somewhere. And it gets you in the habit of putting words to page. Because that's the hardest part, right, is being motivated to sit and tell this story. Some days I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I'm writing because I have to, right? That's my thing. Like, the good sis here who can sing, she practices her singing, right, so that she could get that song out the way that she needs to at Kim's parties, right? Same thing for writers. We have to sit and write, and even if what I wrote is just complete trash and will never see the light of day, it's that habit of sitting down and telling a story. And a part of writing is editing. So you may tell the worst story, and then go back and look at it and edit it, and it becomes a better story, and edit it again, and it becomes an even better story, and edit it some more, and it becomes an even better story. And while you're editing, you're looking at other people's work and seeing how they told that story, and you're following this person and seeing how they, like lay something out, or the way that they put the whole, like the story structure together. And next thing you know, you have a book. And so if you're dedicated to doing it yourself, write, read. Find a group of people who are writing, who can, be your critique partners or your reading partners. And with all of that put together, you can absolutely write your own book.
Thank you.
And just to piggyback on that, when you are writing and creating, because as I said before, writing is art. So you have to be actively writing to fine tune that muscle, like to really understand your technique and like your approach to storytelling. But do not get caught in trying to edit and fine tune your story while you're writing.
Right.
Just get the story out. Like just write. Though, like almost like just throwing stuff at the wall. Just get it out. And once it's out, then you can double back, because there's different levels or different phases to actually writing. So right now I'm actively writing a memoir, like a nonfiction project, and I'm just getting it out. I don't know if it's going to be good, if it flows or whatever, but I will figure out how to arrange these chapters, or if I need to add to this, or that don't make sense over here. I'm going to do that in the next phase after the whole manuscript is done. And then once I go through and change this and change that, then I'm going to go back through it again. I'm going to read it. If it sounds good, then I'm going to give it to an editor. And then I'm going to let them then go through it and give me some feedback. So there's different levels to it. And the beautiful thing about writing is there's no wrong or right way to do it. And if you're not under contract, ain't no deadline.
Right.
So you ain't got to rush it. So just take your time.
And you can always find an editor who can help you think through, look at your work and help you think through how to make it stronger and ways to attack the storytelling.
And look up what an editor does, just like when Kim was saying what an agent does. Look what an editor actually does, because there's different types of editing. And also, just because if I say I'm an editor doesn't mean I can edit your story. So try to figure out if that editor understands your world as well, because you don't want, to say for like a lot of the dialect that I use in my stories, I'm from Texas, so sometimes I write like I talk. And I may want my character to sound like that. I don't want somebody coming in and making her sound like Rebecca from Minnesota. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So look into what editing actually is, because there's different types of editing. And then when you start to select an editor, ask them about some of the books they've edited before, and just make sure that they understand your type of story and your world that you are creating.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Howdy.
Thank you all for coming. This was very helpful. I actually come to this library about once a day, 5 days out of the week, to write a little bit. I signed up for the conference because I have an interest in research and writing. And I'm actually coming here as a blogger and not an author. So when I heard about your mybrownbaby.com, I honestly wanted to ask, do you attribute that success to content, branding, and consistency, or did you do, like the information in this panel, go to marketing, kind of, network and market yourself to other people? Did you?
It was a combination of both, but in the beginning, it was consistency.
Yeah.
And, I literally I started that blog in 2008 when Bristol Palin got pregnant, and everybody was trying to talk about how, that was a family business and, a family issue, and nobody should talk about this pregnant teenager, and we're not going to talk about it. And I sat down and I wrote an essay saying that if it was Sasha and Malia who had gotten pregnant, we would be having a whole nother discussion about black girls and, sexuality and promiscuity and teen pregnancy and all of those things. And then I wrote it. I figured out how to upload, I think it was WordPress or might have been Blogger at the time. And then threatened all of my friends. I emailed the link to all my friends and told them to read it and post it on Facebook. And literally, I would write every night except for Friday and Saturday night. So the blog, I had a new blog post every day, Monday through Friday. At the time, I was still a columnist for Parenting Magazine, so there was the weight of me having sort of that background as a mom expert. And I was doing a lot of television for the advice column that I was doing for parenting, so that lent weight to My Brown Baby. But then after I was no longer doing the column for parenting, it was literally like consistency, and specifically having a voice that was different from everybody else's. There were mom bloggers, right? But they were talking about white mom things. And I am a very, very proud black mom, and I created a space for black mothers to talk about the intersection of parenting and race in America, which is what made that blog so popular. But it was consistency, sitting down and writing every single day and having something to say about something every single day that got the attention for that blog, which eventually turned into a website, which, and then I got to do a lot of partnerships because I was the only black mom who was doing what I was doing on the scale that I was doing. So it's consistency, and then marketing yourself.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, y'all.
Hello.
Thank y'all for being here for us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I have maybe 2 questions. And the first question is for all of you. When you all initially wrote your first books, what was it? Was there a pivotal moment that finally pushed you to let go of your writing and say, I'm going to do this? What happened for you to finally let go and write the book?
Well, mine was grief. I was dealing with where I was experiencing the loss of my mother while trying to figure out how to be a mother. So I was very young. I was 20, and I had a 2-year-old, and I was married, and I had no idea what I was doing in life. But I had always knew I wanted to be a writer ever since I was a child. And I had started freehand writing this book called The Ultimate No-No just to escape. I used it as an scapegoat of just real life because I couldn't control what was happening in my day-to-day. But for me, writing is like the ultimate escape because I can create the end in the beginning. It's wonderful. And I came to a point where I started a book club, and I discovered a lot of writers. And a lot of these writers were independent. And no one told me that you can actually make your dreams come true. Growing up, I always just thought that, dreams come true because something magical happened, some type of relationship came about, or you were discovered and someone invested in you. But when I discovered that you can actually do it on your own, I said, wait a minute. How, when, where? I literally went to go find out the steps, and I did it myself. So ultimately, it's because after I discovered I could do it myself, and this is something that I wanted to do, I just did it. I didn't wait because I wanted to do that. And that's really honestly how I go about life in general. If I want to do it, I'm going to figure out a good, tangible, obtainable way to get it done. That's it. It's simple. If you want to do it, then do it. If you don't do it, then don't get mad about not having it. Or don't get sad, or don't feel lost, or don't have regret. Because ultimately, the things that you want to experience in life, you actually have the control of that. You can speak it and say it, and then you can figure out some steps to make it happen. Now, the scale of which is going to grow and manifest, we don't know how that's going to be.
Right.
Sometimes we don't have control over that, but getting it done, making it happen, we have control over that, for sure.
Respect.
Thank you.
Respect. I got my first book by fluke. Where's Toni Morrison up in here? Her name is literally Toni Morrison, by the way. Her name is literally Toni Morrison, and she wants to write, and her mama gave her that name.
Hey, Toni.
Right. And she came in here with my first book which I wrote in 1997.
Ooh, let me see.
And
Oh,
that
what's
book,
that?
it's called The Sisters' Rules. And
Oh, wow.
and literally, that book was born. I was a reporter at the Daily News in New York. Nah. Girl, I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
proud
that's
of
not
it.
the cover anymore.
I'm not proud of it. No, that's the cover. Yeah, that's the cover with the little Cupid in the kente cloth and the high top fade, looking like Mike Tyson. It's bad.
Not the high top.
It's bad.
love it.
Just. I tried to talk them out of it. They wouldn't listen to me. But I was a reporter for the Daily News, and there was a book that came out at the time in '97 or maybe '96 called The Rules. And it was these two white women who had come up with all of these rules for how to get a man to, marry you. And I wrote a story in the Daily News that said that those rules would never work for black women because black men would never go for that mess. And I didn't realize it at the time, but my editor had one of my coworkers dress up in a Superman suit and pose for a mock book cover that they ran with the story on the cover of the feature section of the Daily News. And it said, "Rules for the Sisters, Can Black Women Find True Love" by Denene Millner. It looked like a book. And when I came in that day, there were 13 messages from people asking me, like, I went to Walden Books, I went to Barnes & Noble, I went looking for this book, right? And that was 11. The 12th call was from an editor saying, "I really like your writing style, would you like to write freelance for Miss Magazine?" And the 13th call was from an editor at William Morrow, who said, "I really liked your story. Would you be interested in writing the black version of the rules?" And that's where the Sisters' Rules came from. I did not see myself as an author. I wanted to be the black Jimmy Breslin. I wanted to be a columnist and to write my thoughts as a black woman about, what was going on in New York at the time.
Carrie Bradshaw.
I really wanted to be her. But the book, which I had to write, I had a month to write it. Wow. Because I wanted to get it out in time for it to ride the wave of the rules, which was on like Oprah every other day. And so, I spent I got lucky because the person who was the editor-in-chief of the Daily News at the time was a gentleman named Pete Hamill, a legendary newsman in New York on the cop beat, but also an author. And when I went to him and told him that I got this book deal, he said, "You must go and write this book, and absolutely I will give you the month that you need to write it." And I went and I wrote that book in a month, and it came out 2 weeks before I got married, which lent it like all this credence. Like, look at her, she knows how to get a man, and she's marrying one, right? And so it ended up being a bestseller and put me into the realm of writing books, something that I had never seen for myself.
Amazing. I had no desire to be an author at all. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I had gone to film school. I had spent my whole life knowing that I was going to be the next Spike Lee. Really the next Robert Townsend. I was obsessed with Robert Townsend. I thought Robert Townsend was the bee's knees. I had watched Hollywood Shuffle 864 million times, and he had a series on, it was either HBO or Showtime, called Robert Townsend and Friends. It was kind of like the Dave Chappelle show before the Dave Chappelle show, and it had all the Wayans on it, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and yeah, all of them come from the Robert Townsend camp. So, I was obsessed with being a filmmaker, and life just lifed on me. I had a son, and life began to life, and I never told this story publicly before. It's in my book, How We Can Win. I got to the place where I was on welfare with my son. My son was, I think, 3 or 4 at the time. And one of the things when you used to have to apply for TANF, which is basically like a welfare check, right, is that you had to go to this career training program where they taught you how to make resumes and all of this, and they would not let you get your TANF or your food stamps unless you went through the program. And one of the tenets of the program was that you had to take this paper. It's such a humiliating process, right? you had to take this paper and go apply for jobs. And when you went into these places to apply for jobs, they had to sign off on your paper. Yes, they had to sign off on your paper. So you're applying for a job somewhere, but now they're fully aware that you're applying for it because you're applying for welfare. So I walked into this bookstore in Decatur, Little Shop of Stories. And like I said, my son was 4 at the time. He's in college now, but he was 4 at the time. And this cute little bookstore, and kids were like running around and playing, and it was bright and it was pretty. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to work at this bookstore, and then my baby could be here. And so I applied for the job, but I didn't let them fill out the paper. And so I went home, I didn't think anything about it. And the next day I got a phone call from them saying they wanted to interview me for the job. And so I interviewed for the job. Now keep in mind, I want you to understand where I was at in life. For me to be on welfare and applying for this job, I had already in my film career developed Being Bobby Brown for Bravo, had worked as Tyler Perry's production secretary, I was in the development department. I was the first person to read the paid in full script. I had got the paid in full script through the system for Dame Dash, and now I'm on welfare. And so I got this job at this. I had held the record as the only black female clown in Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, and I was pumped for welfare. And I had so much shame around it that I didn't want them to know that this is what it was. So I just applied for the job straight out and didn't let them fill my paperwork out. Long story short, I ended up getting the job at Little Shop of Stories partially because one of the owners at the time, Dave, who has since sold his half of the store, but Dave, who was one of the owners at the store, him and my mother had worked together at the Sears Tower 30 years prior to. And him and his wife had moved here from Chicago. And in the interview, me and him figured out that he knew my mother. Now, my book coming out, I was super glad then I didn't tell them I was on the welfare, because my mother is a legend in Chicago. My mother is the mother of AI. My mother programmed the first AI robots in 1976. She programmed AI mailbots that delivered the mail in the Sears Tower. And he kept saying, your mom's Lula, your mom's the robot lady. And I said, yes, my mother is the robot lady. And my mother had moved here, and I was living with my mother. So I was living with my mother, applying, so this whole thing. And so I was like, I'm gonna bring her by the store tomorrow. She's here in Georgia now. And so I got this job working at this little bookshop, and then I fell in love with Kidlit. Started doing all these programs, thought I was gonna be a picture book writer, wrote all these picture books that nobody wanted. Y'all, they are so bad. I look at them now and be like, girl, you was never gonna get a deal with these books. Books is trash. And then I ran this program through City. I'm sorry, this story's so long-winded, but I ran this program through City of Decatur, the Decatur Education Foundation, called Project Bookshelf, where all the kids on free and reduced lunch that went into at the middle school at Decatur, through this program, they could come in before every break. So before Christmas break, before summer break, before any break, and they have $35 that they could spend on whatever books. And we would bring them in before the store would open, and they could just shop, and they could get whatever book. And every time they would come back, the next time they would come back, I would be like, did y'all read the books? Did y'all love them? They would be like, no, we didn't read them. And I was giving them amazing books, because this is the time where there was a burst in black literature, black YA books, and I was giving them all these books. They got black, main characters and all this stuff. And I'm like, why y'all don't want to read these books? And they're like, them books ain't good, Miss Kim, we don't want to read them books. So finally one day I was like, well, what do y'all want to read? Y'all tell me a book series y'all want to read, and when y'all come back next time, I'm going to have it here. And one of them was like, Miss Kim, we want to read Thug Lovin'. And I was like, no, ma'am. Not going to be ordering no Thug Lovin'. What's wrong with y'all? That is black erotica. And I went, I ordered Thug Lovin' for me, because I wanted to see, what is it?
I need to check it out. Just make sure.
Why they keep asking for this Thug Lovin'? And so I ordered Thug Lovin', and I read Thug Lovin'. It was good too. And I read it. And what I realized what they were saying is I don't see myself on the page. Like I live in the projects. And these like little suburban black girl stories that you putting in my hand, I don't connect with that. I don't connect with the language. I don't connect with their lived experiences because we're not a monolith. And people kept saying we didn't need any more hood girl stories, but they were talking about the non-multidimensional hood stories that were on television. Little girls who live in the projects had never been properly represented on the page. And if they were, they weren't three-dimensional. It's nerds in the hood. It's all type of people in the hood, you know? And so I searched until I found a book that did all of that for them, that was age appropriate, that felt like them, that had language on the page that they could read. And it was Cookie. And I gave them Cookie, and their teacher emailed me and said they are missing class because they're hiding under the stairs trying to read.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know Tamika Newhouse from a can of paint. And I emailed her, and I told her what my kids were doing, and she said, I'm gonna come visit them. And we were doing an event at the store that she came to that nobody showed up to. We were trying to do like a round table on diversity, and it was just all the authors showed up. Remember, no guests showed up, and we just sat and talked. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, Lord, I done brought these people here, nobody showed up. But they ended up having a good round table conversation. And so she and I were, not friends, but friendly. And she promised me that she would come back the next time they were in the store and meet them. And she came, and I thought she was just gonna come and sign books for them. She came and she brought all this stuff up into our space, and she gave them a whole party. She gave them a whole party. She brought them snacks. She poured it into them a way that nobody had ever shown them that they had value like that before. And when I run into those kids, they're adults now. And they still talk about that day that Tamika Newhouse came and did book club with them. And when I realized the power in words in that moment, and that's when I started writing, I'm Not Dying With You Tonight. Because I grew up on the south side of Chicago in a neighborhood called the Wild Hundreds. Witnessed my first murder when I was 15. And nobody had ever represented the fact that I was a nerd in the hood, having these wild lived experiences, that the totality of who I was not where I had come from. That my mother was genius level smart. And due to the economics of racism, we still lived in a neighborhood where that was my experience. And that kind of texture didn't exist on the page for us in great numbers. And the only time I had seen it was in Cookie. And the way she showed up for me in that moment is the way she showed up for me in friendship ever since. So when I write in obligation to continue that work. I'm sorry, yeah.
No apologies.
That was the first time we actually met. Yep.
Thank y'all so much for sharing a piece of your heart and story. I appreciate y'all. Y'all actually answered the second question, which was, did you know you were going to be author? So y'all already answered
No.
it. Yeah.
Oh, I knew.
No, I didn't know.
She the only one up here.
I knew. I told my mother at 12 I was going to grow up and I was going to be a famous authoress. I was 12 years old.
Not you gave with your own word.
Yes, authoress. And I told her, yeah. I told her I was going to move to Atlanta, mainly, and I'm in Texas. I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. So Fort Worth got overshadowed by Dallas a lot, but Fort Worth had its own culture, its own community. But we all knew each other, and it was the same routine, and I always knew that that's not what I wanted. Something in me just wanted more. And I knew that people came to Atlanta, and they were doing stuff. There were doctors here, and athletes, and music was here, and And you can be whatever you want to be. Like Atlanta was Wakanda before Wakanda was a thing.
Yeah.
And I just knew it. I told my mother, I'm going there. And life happened. But I never forgot. But I knew I was going to come here. And I wrote my first book at 12 as well, too. But this is just something that is, like I know how to sing. But I didn't become a professional singer. But, I know how to write. Like, you know how to naturally write, tell a story. Like, a lot of people don't know how to naturally tell a story, but everybody has a story to tell. Does that make sense? But storytelling really does, it's an art. I keep saying that, but it's an art to it.
No, it is.
And I naturally knew how to do that from like age 8 or 9 years old. And I wrote my first book at 12. And I told my mother, that's what I'm going to do. And if y'all are sitting here and you feel like this is what you want to do, again, just do it. And if you don't do it, please don't walk around with an attitude, because that means we got to deal with it.
Yeah. I think that's it, Victor.
Okay, y'all. I enjoyed y'all. This is good. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing your wealth of knowledge. And y'all go buy their books.
Oh, yes, and every year we host Black Writers Weekend here. So we will be back in August of 26. It's going to be like my 9th year hosting it here at the library. So every year we do a number of different conversations like this. There's a pitch fest as well. There's book signings. There's master classes and workshops. And, of course, Amazon will be there as well. But, yeah, so every August, go to blackwritersweekend.com. And you'll be able to see everything that we got going on.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that part. Yeah, plug your stuff. What you got coming up, your social medias, your monkey dog cats, all that stuff.
Well, y'all definitely follow me on, I just got back into the States like 48 hours ago. I've been living in Mexico for the past few months, having a ball. Yes, girl, living by the beach and stuff. Like Mexico.
Eat, pray, love.
Yeah, okay, I surely was. Mexico is not what America be saying. Most of the countries is not what America be saying. But follow me on YouTube. I share my journey often. I have a Patreon where I'm always giving out tips and inspiring messages and pretty much holding y'all accountable. If you can't tell, I'm like a straightforward, straight shooter. That's what it is. Because, honestly, like I've seen the worst of the worst. And if there's something that you want to experience or explore, I'm like, I bet, do it. Like just do it. Find a way to figure it out, to balance it all, to do the things that you have to do versus the things that you want to do. Do it all. Then Traces of Mika is my website, and that's Mika. And I have a memoir, documentary on Tubi called Traces of Mika. I have a memoir podcast called Traces of Mika, where Ms. Jones is on there as well. What else I got? And I got a whole bunch of books: Cookie, a Fort Worth Story, Sugar Hill 1 and 2, Plain Jane 1 and 2. That's my nasty book. So if you like erotica series, you can check that out. The Words I Didn't Say 1 and 2. That's a romance, my favorite. And I have a documentary coming out next year called Dear Black Writers, which is paying homage to storytelling in those in the books that they tell. So that's just a few things, but please, thank you so much. Follow me on Instagram, too. Everything is my name, Tamika Newhouse.
Denene. I am Denene Millner on Facebook, My Brown Baby on Instagram, where I just lurk on Facebook, but you can find me on Instagram. I am Denene at mybrownbaby.com, Denene at mybrownbaby.com. That's where you can send your pitches. If you have children's books that you are interested in writing and want to put it in front of an editor, that's where you send it. And there is One Blood, my novel, that came out in 2023. There is When Alexander Graced the Table, which came out earlier this year. That's a children's book. Get it for your babies, get it for the library, get it for your school. It's a beautiful book. And I am now, I just signed a deal for a book of essays called This is a Beautiful Life. It's about being a middle-aged black woman in America and searching for joy.
Nice. You can follow me on TikTok, which is where I live. I love the docs. On TikTok is just my name, but it's my middle name in there as well. It's Kimberly Latrice Jones. I'm also on Instagram. Child, I don't know what's happening on Facebook. Don't follow me on there. It's a cesspool. But I'm on Instagram and TikTok, Kimberly Latrice Jones, and I have a TikTok shop on my TikTok, so you can buy my books on my TikTok shop, especially my most recent one, How We Can Win Race History and Changing the Money Game That's Rigged. It's my reparations manifesto. And then I have a documentary coming out soon, which I'm planning a screening here at the library. Right, Victor? Okay. I have a documentary coming out soon called Bye Bye Atlanta. So it's BUYBYE Atlanta, about gentrification in Atlanta, that I did in partnership with several organizations and Killer Mike and Greg Street and a couple of other people. So we'll be screening. It'll be open to the public. It'll be in the library news. We'll be screening Bye Bye Atlanta here. And then, like I said, me and my partner Lane, who's sitting back there. Lane, wave your arm. We have a new literary agency called Three Keys Agency, and we represent authors and screenwriters. So if you are an author or a screenwriter and you're looking for representation, I'm not gonna lie to you, we are a boutique agency, so we do keep a very small list, but we will be taking queries at the top of the year. We're not taking queries right now. Our queries are closed right now, but we'll be opening up to queries at the top of the year. And we represent across genres. So we represent fiction, nonfiction, and kid lit on the literary side. And then on the screenwriting side, primarily represent for TV more so than film. So, yeah.
A word about agents and how important they are. I told you that I am one of the rare people who will accept an unagented submission, and I'm true to that because I feel like that is the easiest way that I could find Black writers and illustrators. But as a writer, there is nothing more important than having someone have your back. When those contracts come to you and you don't understand what the hell it says, your agent is the one who's going to look out for you. When I got my first book deal, when I got that phone call, that agent was offering $15,000. I didn't answer her. I had an agent call her back. I just happened to be sitting next to someone who had written a book, and I was like, girl, what's your agent's number? Because I don't want to call this lady back. And I got that agent to call on my behalf, and I got a $50,000 book deal instead of a $15,000 book deal just by dint of an agent representing me. Doesn't always happen that way, but an agent is going to look out for you. That's me as a writer. Me as a publisher, you know, I'm not, it's not my job to look out for you. Now, I will, because that's who I am, because I'm a writer, right? But there are plenty of editors who would really love you to you know, step to them without an agent, so they don't have to deal with they can take advantage of you. So you have an agent is going to look out for you. So that's really important. If you can get one, get one.
Yeah, and like I said, we will be opening up queries in January because there's so many components to your book deal, things that you get what you ask for. There are so many components of things you don't even know you need to be negotiating, like your film rights, your foreign rights, what your ebook sales look like, your audiobooks, your digital, when does the copyright return to you, sales goals, like all of that stuff. We're gonna make sure that you're taking care of. So
It's gonna be an idea.
yeah.
So Kimberly gonna be at Black Writers Weekend. She don't know. I just told her right now. We need to have some conversations on contracts.
Yeah.
People don't know that. So
True.
it's a good idea. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Don't try to run off with my Coke, Denene.
Oh, is that your coat? Because I sure was finna drink it.
Like, where's the other? You're supposed to be small. Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't even see this water.